probably the longest it's ever taken me to make a video. I started filming at like 2-ish today, and it is 2:42 a.m. currently. Really didn't think that it would take this long, but it did. So here we are. So if you can't tell by the title, this is going to be a video showing you guys a bunch of different kinds of ways you can wear fishtail braids. Fishtail braids are my personal favorite braids. I think they are beautiful, especially the Dutch fishtail braids where it's inside out, like this one. I think that they are so beautiful, and I need to start wearing more braids because when I was like doing these tutorials, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is stunning. Like I really should wear this out more often rather than just be boring and wear my hair down all the time. So these hairstyles are like what I would actually wear, like going out or to a formal event or something dressy. At least I am in love with all of them. Also, it is an arm workout. Like I can feel my arms like already burning because you're like this for so long, and it's like you're moving pieces and you have to grab this, and it's just, it was a lot, guys. I hope you guys enjoy the different hairstyles in this video, and without further ado, let's get into the tutorials. I quit my job. Alright, so I'm just gonna go ahead and start with showing you guys how to do a normal fishtail braid. So I'm going to brush all of my hair over here to one side. Then what you're gonna do is divide your hair into 2 sections. Try to make them as even as possible. Just like if you were braiding, you want to try to make the 3 strands as even as possible. So all you do for a fishtail braid is you take one tiny section of hair from the outside of one piece, and you're going to bring it across to the other section. Then you're going to do the same thing over here, except I'm going to make sure that I take one from the back and cross it over to join the other section. One small section from the outside, cross it over to join the other section. One piece from the back, cross it over to join the other section. One thing about this braid is you have to have a lot of patience because it does take a very long time to actually form. These first like 10 to 20 strands never look like anything. It just literally looks like you're messing up and not creating any kind of braid whatsoever, but trust me, stay with it. It's about to look really good. So I'm taking sections from the back here on the outside, crossing them over. Another thing to keep in mind when you're fishtailing is even though we're gonna loosen it up a little bit at the end to make our hair look thicker, make sure that you hold it as tight as possible when you're actually braiding it, because if you don't hold it tight, then it'll just be too loose at the end and it'll fall out. That'll make more sense when we get to the end of this. So now you can kind of start to see it forming. The smaller the section you pick up from the outside here, the more defined the fishtail will look. So once I have about that much hair left, I'm just gonna hold it. I'm not going to tie it off yet. I'm gonna give it a little bit of room, and then my favorite part of this entire tutorial is loosening it up and making your hair look thicker and a little bit less bulletproof. So what I do is I just kind of pull my fingers through it, and then you want to leave some room at the end for the hair to kind of go down towards. Then if you have a really loose grip at the end, you can literally take sections and yank on them and pull them out. It will not mess up the braid. The messier this braid, the better it looks, in my opinion. So that is the simple way to do a fishtail braid. Now we're going to get into the more intricate ways. So now we're just going to do a regular French fishtail braid. So the first thing you're going to do is section your hair at the top, loosen it up a little bit, and then split it into 2 even sections. So then you're going to fishtail it once without adding any hair yet. So you're going to take the outside of one section, cross it over to the other side, and the outside of that section and cross it over to the other side. So now we have our X. So then to create the French fishtail, you're going to repeat the same step. You're going to pick up one section from the outside, and then you're going to add some hair into that section before you cross it over to the other side, just like you would a regular French braid, except we're working with 2 sections instead of 3. So then you're going to repeat the same thing on the other side, take a little piece on the outside, add in some hair, and then take that section and cross it over to the other side. I found that the easiest way to add in sections to the fishtail is to slide your finger like that from the front of your head to the section. It just makes the section super even. Instead of trying to actually pick up sections, just slide it from the front to the middle, and it lays a lot better on your head, and it's a lot easier to work with. Make sure you keep the fishtail as tight as you can because it loosens up very easily, especially if you have silky hair like me. This French braid took me forever to master, you guys. Like, it was lumpy and uneven, and it's really hard, so don't worry if you don't get it the first time. It definitely takes some practice. If you get this on the first time, then you are a hair wizard. So once you reach the bottom of your neck and all of the sections are added into the braid, you're just gonna braid normally. Continue to braid in the back of your head if you can, rather than flipping it around to the side, because it'll keep the braid straighter. I found that if I flip my hair around right away, the fishtail will start to get a little bit crooked. So when you absolutely can't reach behind your head anymore, then bring the fishtail to the side and continue to braid on the side so you can give your arms a rest. And it's much more comfortable to braid on the side. So here's what the braid looks like before I loosened it at all. You got to be careful with loosening at least the top part of this one because it tends to fall out really easily. That's what it looks like. And then I'm going to go ahead and loosen some of the bottom sections. And that's what that looks like. And then I loosened the top section and made it really big, and that's what that looks like. So this next braid is my personal favorite braid, and it is the Dutch fishtail braid, which is basically just an inside-out fishtail braid. So you're going to repeat the same steps. Take a section from the top of your head, split it into two. Then you're going to take a section from the outside and cross it underneath the section rather than over top. You're going to do the same thing on the other side. You're going to take a section from the outside and you're going to cross it underneath. And then once you've done that twice, you're going to go ahead and pick up a small section again from the outside, drop it on your head, and then use your finger to add some more hair to it to create the French braid, and add it to the section and cross it underneath. With these French fishtail braids, it requires a lot of finger maneuvering, so it might take you a little while to figure out exactly what pieces you need to hold and what fingers, because it definitely took me a little while, but it'll come, don't worry about it. So just keep picking up sections, adding hair to it, and crossing it under. Remember, you're going to slide your finger from the front of your head to the middle to keep those sections as even and neat as possible. So then once you've reached the base of your neck and all of the hair has been added into the braid, you're just going to braid again as much as you can in the back to keep the braid straight, and then you're going to flip it around to your side, give your arms a rest, and continue braiding. So this braid definitely requires you to loosen it up to give it that really thick boho look to it. So just pull on sections. Like I said, you can never really get too messy with this braid. I think the bigger it is, the prettier it looks. So there it is when it's all loosened up. So then I just decided to add a little bit of curl to my hair because the upcoming styles, in my opinion, look a lot better when your hair is curled. So I'm just taking my 25mm Numi wand and just adding some really, really loose waves all over my head. So for these next styles, I'm going to show you how to do two different French fishtail pigtails. So I'm going to do the regular French fishtail to one side. So we're going to start with that. So go ahead and section your hair off. I just clipped one side off. And I'm going to start with a small piece in the front, divide it into two sections, and start that same fishtail pattern. So take one piece on the outside, cross it over the top to the other side, and do the same thing with the other section. And then you're going to pick up another piece, add some hair in, and cross it over to the other side. And pick up another piece, add some hair in, and cross it to the other side. Then you're just going to continue doing this until all your hair is used up. Make sure that you angle the braid toward the back too, and you don't start braiding it straight down. Make sure that it's very much like the braid is going toward the back, just to avoid any lumps. So then I'm just going to continue the fishtail braid down my side and tie it off, and there you go. Since this is a regular fishtail braid, remember it gets really loose really easily, so be careful about loosening the top too much. But that's what that looks like. So then we're gonna do the Dutch fishtail braid to the other side so you can see what they both look like. Again, very repetitive here, but you're gonna do the same thing. Take a small section in the front, and then instead of crossing over, you're gonna be crossing under. So pick up that section and cross it underneath, add it to the other side. Then you're gonna pick up a section, drop it down, slide some hair to meet it, and then pass it underneath to the other side. Hopefully you guys are starting to get the process, whether it's the inside out one or the regular one. It's really hard to explain on camera, so honestly it's just gonna take some practice, but I'm hoping that I could explain it well enough so that you kind of understand what the steps are. And then it's kind of like up to you to figure out what's most comfortable and what works best for you. So then just continue braiding down and tie it off, and there you have the Dutch pigtail braid. When you curl your hair, you can see there's like a natural little twist in the fishtail at the bottom. I love that so much. So then, like always, just separate your hair to make it look bigger and thicker. And for the sake of this video, I changed that other side to a Dutch fishtail because I like it better, and I feel like it works better on your head because it lays better. So this next one doesn't involve any fringe braiding, it's just regular fishtails, which made my life so much easier. So I left a piece down in the front, and I took a section from the top, divided it into two sections, and started a fishtail. I chose to do a reverse fishtail because I just think it looks better, but you can do a regular fishtail if you would rather do that. So braid it far enough down that you know it will reach to the back. I went a little further than that just so that I could leave myself some room. And then I tied it off and took a section right next to it, flipped it over to get it out of the way, and then took a section right underneath that and created another fishtail braid also inside out, so crossing the sections underneath. The purpose of kind of taking that piece out of the way is, you'll see later, it kind of helps cover the beginning of the fishtail, and it just makes it look a little bit neater. Also, with these fishtails, you want to go as close to the root as possible. I tried starting it a little bit further down and it didn't look as good. So you want to start these fishtail braids all the way up to the root. So now we're just going to loosen up both of the braids to make them look thicker and messier as usual. And what I found is a really easy way to loosen up the braids is to hold the middle and then pull on the sections. They loosen up so easily. So then I'm going to make the half up, half down. So I'm going to leave a little bit in the front on the other side and gather it all in the back and include the braids. And then I'm going to take a regular hair tie, and I'm actually just going to make a messy bun, just like I would if I was doing a regular messy bun with all of my hair. And then I'm just going to pull out some pieces to loosen it up a little bit and make it not so tight. As usual with these fishtail braids, the messier the better. So for this final style, we're going to go back to French braiding, and this is kind of like a really cool half up, half down look. So I'm going to part my hair a little bit off center, not quite as far over as my natural part, but not directly in the middle. So I'm going to start with one side of my hair, and I'm going to take a section in the front and do the same exact steps for the Dutch fishtail, except your grip should be a little bit more comfortable because you're braiding on the side of your head instead of going down the back of your head. The whole process is exactly the same as the regular Dutch fishtail, you're just doing it on the side. The one thing to keep in mind though with this particular style is you want to make sure that your braid is angled toward the back of your head rather than down, because you are going to be pulling the braid across your head and to the back, so you want to make sure that the braid knows which way it's going, because if you braid it straight down, it'll get lumpy and it won't look as good. So just make sure that you're angling the braid to the back. So once I've added in all of my sections to my ear on the bottom, then I'm just going to quit with the French braiding and just do the rest of the braid as a regular fishtail. Again, just far enough down so that you know it will reach to the back of your head. Then I'm just going to do the same thing to the other side. I will say that this side was a little bit more awkward just because it's not my dominant side,
but once again, it's just something that you have to get comfortable with and get the hang of. There's less hair on this side because of my part, so I didn't have to French braid quite as much. So again, once I reached all of the sections up to my ear, then I'm just going to braid normally. And then for the fun part, you're going to loosen up the braid and make it look thicker and messier. Remember I told you guys to hold the middle and then pull the sections out while you're holding it. Then I'm going to take the two sections and pull them back into a half up, half down, and I'm going to take a clear elastic band and tie it around the braids twice. And then I just removed the elastic ties from the braids, and I just left the braids because I actually thought it looked pretty. But you can take the braids out too and have a regular half up, half down. But I thought that the braids that stayed in actually looked really pretty.
Okay guys, so that is all of the fishtail braided hairstyles that I came up with. I hope you guys enjoyed them. And send me pictures if you guys decide to do any of these hairstyles. They look so pretty like on Instagram. They're very like bohemian style. That is everything. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.